How you doing, guys? I'm FatBuddyCat, and today I got the goods from our friends at ombwarehouse.com. This is Microbikology. Alright guys, we're just going to jump right into it. As you know, we've already removed the governor, and because we're into doing things right around here at FatBuddyCat Mini Bikes, we got ourselves a Predator 79cc Billet Flywheel by ARC from ombwarehouse.com. Alright, the stock flywheel is already removed. I used a flathead screwdriver, this ball peen hammer, and I just bumped out my key. Okay, I have some fine grinding compound. I'm going to be using that to lap my flywheel on. Clean it real good. I'll reinstall my key, get my flywheel on there, torque her down. That part could be a little bit tricky. We're doing this with the motor installed. Okay, so first thing, I'm pretty sure this little guy is going to fit on here. So I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to put a little bit of compound. Okay, that's all you need. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to smear it around. Just give it a nice, even, light layer. Okay, next I'm going to take the flywheel. I'm going to start putting it onto my taper. And I'm just going to work it. You don't want to press too hard because you'll spin the crank. Alright, now I'm just going to do that for a little bit until I get a nice smooth seat. Alright, that's pretty smooth right there. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take my flywheel off. I'm going to make sure I get all the excess compound that's inside. Alright. And then I'm going to clean all of the residual off of the crank, the keyway, the threads, and make sure that nothing gets back to our oil seal. This is very fine stuff, and with thousands of RPM, guys, it just wears things away fast. All right, use a little brake clean or something if you got it. Okay, I'm nice and shiny and clean. I don't know if you can see down in there, but you can see the honed aluminum. All right, see where it's a little raw? That's what you want. And that's just from rubbing against the shaft with the compound. All right, it's your taper that holds that thing on. The key just sets your timing. We're going to run it straight up. Go ahead and put that in. I'll grab a hammer, tap that down into place. Alright, you're not sending it home, guys. You're just setting the key on there, alright? Just so you have the clearance to get your flywheel on there. All that torque will do the rest. Then the flywheel goes on. After that, I'm going to put the cup. Alright guys, and the last and most difficult part is torquing the flywheel nut on. Alright, you make sure that you hand tighten it. You never use an impact driver. You're going to take a screwdriver. Alright, and let the shank come against the foot peg. And then I'm just on it with my torque wrench. Okay, 54 foot-pounds is what this is set at. Alright, and I work my way around to different holes as I go. I don't just give it the business in one set. If it's bent out just a little bit, if it's warped, give it a little bit of love with the ball peen. That's all. Just light taps. These things will straighten right out. They're pretty soft metal. Okay? So, the next part, guys, we're going to need some spacers. This flywheel sits really close to our governor delete, alright? That's why we have to cut that piece of the casting off, okay? What happens now is that your flywheel magnet is not going to line up with the stock coil, alright? So we're going to be adding 2 spacers, one for each of our bolt. We're going to add a longer bolt for the spacer, okay? We're going to gap our coil, set it, we're going to get out of there. Next, we're going to take off the coil. Alright, so there's the original bolt right there. There's my 2 new ones and 2 spacers. Okay, now we're on to setting the coil gap. Alright, little trick of mine. I've told you this once, I've told you it twice. Probably more like 5 or 6 times. You know why? Because I got a bunch of flywheels. This is my first rodeo. For an ARC, 2 business cards. For a stock flywheel, 1 business card. For a PVL, 1 business card. Okay? Paper business card. Not a gift card. Okay, so put my 2 cards under, and I'll just snug one side on, then I'll put them on the other side, snug it on, then tighten my coil all the way. This next part might sound funny at first. Now you gotta take off the carb. And here is the reason you have to remove the carburetor. When we space our coil to line up with our rare earth magnet, we are also forced to space out the fan shroud. Now, if our coil is already right there next to our inlet for our carburetor, we're not going to be able to fit the fan shroud in the fuel line or the carburetor. So we need to make a spacer to get that inlet away. Next, we're going to put on the fan shroud without the carb. Another thing I did real quick, I had a little piece of metal that already had a 45 in it and a couple of holes, and I just went with it. I cut off each end close to the hole, left just a little bit, rounded off the edges on my back one because I knew I'd be dealing with the shroud, and I just left this kind of square and whatever. It's not going to hit anything. I wanted it nice and tight so that when my rod's out here, it's definitely not going to mess with it. And when this thing is set with the rod, we'll be away from everything with the cable, and we'll have a nice direct pull. I used the same spring, and I just relocated it to the back here. I might make an adjustment on that. We'll see once I set the arm in, but before that we need that spacer again. Oh boy. Well, we did it once, we can do it again, right? The carb insulator is already on there. Okay, that's there. If I could get an extra one of those, I could probably make a few of these spacers ahead of time. But our carburetor is going to go on like so. Okay, and right there we're hitting on the fan shroud. All right, there's, you don't want to go twisting this around. Okay, and you're not going to get your fuel line on that way, and it's ever so close. We only need to come out about a 1/4 inch. Let's see what we have to work with. Well, I just slid in at the DG real quick, and I found this cutting board. It's like $4. I think they're kind of strong arming me there. Alright, pull your carb off again. then you're gonna need the insulator. All right, and there's gaskets back there. If you're careful, you might not tear them. I have extras, so there we go. Look at that. Perfect. So this, guys, that's going to be our template. Find you a bench outside. Get your cutting board. Get your insulator. Get your black grill paint. Now you grab your insulator, and there's your piece. While it's still attached to the cutting board, we're going to drill out the holes, since those are the most important part. Alright, and then clamp it down and drill some pilot holes. You're not that good, C3PO. And then, if you're good with a step bit, you work it very slowly. It's like hot butter. And you flip it over. You do the other side too. So you have nice clean edges. Make sure to grab your insulator. Look down there. Make sure everything lines up. Anything that we have extra, we'll be able to touch up with a file. Then use a 4.5 angle grinder and carefully cut out your piece. Okay, back inside, I'm just going to try to file my edges down, make it look clean. Okay, I got this thing pretty well cleaned up. I'm probably going to go ahead and put a coat of our high heat black grill paint on there, just to give it some protection from the elements and anything this insulator might let get by in residual heat. So let's test fit it first though. Put that on, and we'll have probably a 1/16 inch in gaskets in here too. Okay, and you want to make sure, yeah, we're nice and smooth. All right, and finally our carburetor. And once we add our gaskets, we torque it in there, we'll be able to just get our fuel line by. That'll work. A quick sandpapes, and then you block out. Alright, I'm going to be using fresh gaskets as I put this back together. I'll go get the piece we just made outside. It should be dry. Okay, here goes our new piece. Looking good. Another gasket. And our carburetor. Huh? Not too shabby. And then we just have one more gasket. And then our velocity stack. All held on by two 10mm nuts. Okay, I have the velocity stack on. I attached the fuel line, the carburetor rod. Oh! I rigged it a little bit differently. Here's my new setup. Not too bad. It's a gravity feed, guys. Nothing's in the way. Next, I'm gonna have to set my throttle cable. Okay, so I just switched the spring back to the original side and put my cable stop back where I had it. And we got that all day. Might be a little excessive, but well, you know. Okay, and once you think you're done, you go back, you make sure everything's tight. Keeping the carb, guys. Don't miss anything. You're doing so good now. Alright, I'm just going to try to get you a couple quick blasts. You can see what we're working with here. Set of GPS. Why not? I think there's a little bit of timing in this. You can hear it in the exhaust. Still 19. But look, our average speed is 7. Not that that matters yet. I think yesterday was more like 4. average 8. Okay, 18. The other direction. We're taking right off. Hey guys, 26 miles an hour. Bada bing. Definitely sounds different. All right, guys. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I have all three. But right now, it's time to tell you about this mini bike and what I think is going on. Alright? 26 miles an hour. I checked the GPS a couple times, made sure we weren't running just a downhill somewhere and getting a quick spurt. Even if that was the case, I tested again, and I'm getting flat ground 22. Alright, so we're able to build up enough speed to continue to accelerate. And the reason that we're able to accelerate right now is because we're building more usable power. Okay? Why is that happening right now? Because of the ARC flywheel, guys. Okay? That thing is going to provide a better spark, and on the card, 28 degrees timing with stock key. Okay? I haven't found out what the stock timing is on the Predator 79cc. Okay? But I don't know, guys. There's definitely something going on. Typically, when I see these kind of results are when I put a flywheel key on a stage 1 motor. Alright? And the reason that works is the timing helps bring the other modifications together to work more efficiently. Okay? That efficiency thing is going to be really, really important with this setup. There's a couple more things that we can do, alright, that go along with the flywheel. Alright, and that's going to be this cable, the end, and a spark plug modification. Alright, those things exist. So, we'll be looking into that. Okay, guys. One more theory that I have. We know that we have the stronger earth magnets on the ARC flywheel. The ARC flywheel is solid, where the stock flywheel is not. Alright, the other flywheel feels more dense, it feels heavier. The ARC flywheel has less fins on it. Okay, these fins create drag. Are we creating a lot of drag with this motor? Not sure. But with this flywheel, I think we have centrifugal forces now in our favor. Alright? This flywheel seems to be balanced. You know, everything's towards the outside. Okay? And when that's rotating, that's pulling outward forces. Alright? The billet flywheel, where it's completely, you know, filled and it's balanced over the entirety of the flywheel, I think we are benefiting from rotational forces going forward. Okay? And where we have a smaller displacement engine, this might help it keep the RPM up once it's up there. Just a theory. Something's going on, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know. Alright, guys. Tomorrow, we're going to get right back into the goods from ombwarehouse.com. Well, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned. Remember, I'm going to have something special for one of my viewers. As always, guys, it's a work in progress. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. And I'll catch you on the next one.